Welcome back to Breathedge. So folks in my chat have actually been theorizing about why I'm still playing this game, because you've seen me definitely sort of go on an emotional roller coaster with it, right? Like after I think the first 2 or 3 sessions, I thought that I was done. And one friend encouraging me to just give it a little bit more of a try, brought me back, and then it kind of captured my attention. So Jedi Psych Tricks, who by the way is another YouTuber who's got some really interesting videos of her own, where she plays through video games and then discusses the psychological ramifications of them. She's a psychology professor. She says, in the first session, you were flooded with positive reinforcement, lots of laughs and enjoyment, and then it got spaced out. You got some punishment in there, jokes you didn't like, annoyance at the oxygen is not unlimited alarm, but you were still getting periodic reinforcement, and you were always looking forward. Will this next joke be the good one? Will this next tool be the one that lets me build bases? It creates a schedule of reinforcement called variable ratio reinforcement. And I'm very aware, I didn't actually have the word variable ratio for it, but I'm aware of this too. We'll talk about this more in a sec. Basically, it means you get good things, but it's unpredictable how many times you have to play, since you play in sessions, before you get what you're looking for. It's like slot machines. And so this is actually, when I was working in the mobile industry, this is a thing people would very consciously do. To try to get players to keep playing their games. They would use loot box like mechanics, which are the same thing. Where basically, if you have a system that very predictably rewards success with prizes, then that's one way of positive reinforcement, and that works pretty well. But it's even more effective to unevenly give somebody and unpredictably give someone rewards, because like if you it's almost like the lottery, like going and doing something consistently every single day in order to sort of get the resources you need to have your life. That's one approach, but there's this really tantalizing thing about the idea that that you could do something that do something again and again that eventually might. What am I trying to say? Okay, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts here, but basically. Okay, so here's the way I want to approach it. When you're making a game, each reward that you create for the player is expensive to you. It's actually, you have to, some artist has to spend a bunch of time creating something, or a programmer has to spend some time making something functional, and that can be very sort of difficult, especially if you're like a low budget studio with a very small team and you're trying to make something that's going to be very successful, but you don't have, you can't make hundreds and hundreds of hours of content like some big studio. It's very tempting to try to come up with a strategy where a player can get just as much motivation out of less stuff. And the way that we would approach it when we were in the mobile industry was, instead of saying each time you do X, you get thing we made, which would be very, very expensive to keep up with. Instead, they set it up like, you can do X some number of times. Most of the time we give you a very cheap, small, crappy prize, but occasionally we give you a really nice prize. Now, we only have a limited number of these prizes. We don't do it every time, and you can't predict how many times you're going to have to, put money into the slot in order to get the things back. But because early on we make sure that it happens several times in rapid succession, because it's possible, it keeps feeling worth it to you to keep putting the coins in. And so it's a very efficient way for a game developer to get to maximize engagement with minimal input. It's kind of like how Vegas works this way, where it seems like the payouts that they give are massive sometimes, but those massive payouts are very, very rare. And most of what they're doing is just raking in the money from people who are hoping for those massive payouts. So let's see here. Oh, yeah, so Jedi Cytrix says that, in the gaming world, loot boxes are a much better analogy than slot machines. Now, there are people in my chat who have another theory about why I keep playing this game. They say it's because I'm obsessed with playing bird games, and this game has a chicken in it. So that's another potential explanation, and we really can't rule out anything. But anyway, it always felt kind of weird. Like, I'm not one of those developers who was, very, very sort of moralistic about, the idea of like microtransactions or loot boxes and stuff like that. Like, for me, I felt a little bit like, if we're creating enjoyment for someone, however that enjoyment works, I wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to be too, tangled up about it exactly. I think that, if you do something exploitative, like for instance, trying to get kids to spend money on things that is not theirs to spend, that gets really, really like into ethical bad areas. But I always felt like, I like opening loot boxes too. It's kind of fun. It's fine. I wasn't that worried about it. But there are, but for me, I'm not a degenerate gambler, and so like for me, I'm not the person who is going to be victimized by this. I'm not sort of on the because anything like that in a game that sort of can be exploitative. There are people for whom it's like, yeah, whatever, I can just enjoy this and it's fine and it's not going to be a problem. I think that the people for whom it's a problem are folks who, just everybody's brain is a little bit different. And there are some things that work to sort of drive my behavior and make me do weird things that I normally would not approve of myself doing. They're like, for instance, if I'm working with somebody who has a very flat affect, doesn't give a lot of feedback in their face when you're talking to them, I get extremely anxious around a person like that. And actually, it makes me worse at my job, which is usually leading meetings, trying to talk to people, persuade them of ideas. I start panicking when somebody isn't giving me any feedback from their face. And it makes me worse at my job, and it makes me make bad decisions because I'm bad at dealing with that situation. And that's a weakness on my part. It's not like people don't have to be expressive. Like everyone's different, and that's perfectly fine within the normal range of human behavior. But for me, that's just, it's my kryptonite, right? And so for some people, like this kind of thing, everyone's brain is wired differently. This kind of exploitative, loot box type mechanic is their kryptonite, and it's the thing that will drive them. And because it's about money, it's a thing that can actually, lead to a cascade of really bad consequences for someone if they get too engaged by the wrong thing. And so, I don't know. Over time, I became less and less comfortable about it. But when I was brand new to the mobile industry and I was discovering this stuff for the first time, it was just a fascinating psychological thing. I was like, oh wow, we can design a thing that works in this weird, efficient way, and it was fascinating. And I don't morally judge people who work on games like that. Partly just because it is interesting, it is fascinating, and there are a lot of people who do get legitimate enjoyment about it. The problem it becomes when there's a subset of your population, of your audience, that for whom it's going to be much more like the downside is going to be much more catastrophic than any benefit they could possibly get out of it. So Dougie Fresh just showed up and asked, this looks like Subnautica. Is it different? It is different from Subnautica. And actually, I feel like, this is probably the thing I end up needing to sort of talk about the most when I'm playing this game, is that everybody recognizes how similar to Subnautica it is. And then they want to know, well, if I like Subnautica, will I like this? How is it different? So one thing that I've talked about before that makes this game very different from Subnautica is the fact that the sheer number of tools you have to keep on your person in order to do all of the things you might need to do. In Subnautica, you do have multiple tools that have multiple purposes, but they keep it very slim, and they don't make you constantly maintain it. Like, you've got you can get easily to a point where you've got where the only thing you have to maintain is battery life, and you get a battery charger that sucks from from a power source that's basically infinite. And so maintaining your tools and sort of keeping up with your own capacity to do all the interactions you want to do, it's pretty easy. They make it very simple and elegant. In this game, you have to carry like 9 tools with you at all times if you want to be able to do all the potential interactions. Each tool takes up 2 slots in your inventory, and all but one of them actually have limited uses. And so I was actually going through my tools here because I'm about to go to a new place for the first time. And I don't know what they're going to need me to do there. The last thing I want to do is to have to take a trip all the way back home in order to repair tools or get tools that I don't have. And so I'm going to overload myself with stuff. So I looked through my tools. My drill, I've got 14 uses of it. My scrapper, I've got plenty. Scanner 10 is pretty good. Dispenser 83. I'm unlikely to need this one. Soil analyzer 34, probably fine. The master key is mostly for rare collectibles, so 6 is probably enough. The grabber I might need more of. The shears I'm unlikely to need more of, but if I'm going to a place that's got habitation, usually that means harvesting a lot of fabric with the shears, and so I might actually want a lot of those. And the repair tool is at 3, and if I'm going to like a busted up spaceship, they might very well want me to repair stuff. So I'm going to build a new repair tool right here. And then I've got an extra grabber and some extra shears that I can also bring with me. So this is going to be limiting my inventory capacity, which is, let's make sure I've got enough Okay, I don't really have enough food. If I'm going to a spaceship, I probably will find food there, so maybe I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I've also got oxygen candles that I can use in case I run out of air. So I think we're good. So I'm not actually wait. I'm not actually sure. Wait, before I go, let's get back into a place with oxygen and look at one more thing. So I think I know which of these markers I'm going to, but I'm not actually dead certain. So let's look at our markers and see. So I've already, let's see here, disabled some of them. So they're not, in the way. Actually, yeah, let's disable a lot of my personally built oxygen stations because I don't think I need those. Wait, is this it? Oh, here it is. Normandy. Okay, good. So I was about to fly towards this icon, but I realized I hadn't actually proven to myself that this was the Normandy. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is... Okay, I'm trying to figure out, actually, I think I might have had it backwards. So does this mean that these are disabled now? Yes, okay, so this is not a button that says, disable me. This is... Uh-oh. I've got a child entering the room. Oh, no.
Daddy.
What's going on, buddy?
The baby's robot doesn't say Milo on it.
Oh, well, that makes sense if it's her robot. Hey, I'm doing something in here. Would you mind giving me some space?
Yeah, but Daddy,
Mm-hmm.
you can make some s'mores in the morning.
Okay, maybe I'll make s'mores later. You can close my door, all right?
You mean in the morning?
Well, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But not right now.
Don't forget to lock the door.
I won't forget to lock the door now that you've, randomly opened it in the middle of the stream. Okay, sorry. So, as sort of like a celebration, my company sent people s'mores in the mail, and my son is extremely excited because he loves the idea of s'mores. He refuses to eat them, but he loves the idea of them, and so he wants us to make them all the time, and then he never eats any. And so that's what he wants me to do. He wants me to go and make s'mores for him. Anyway, so I believe that... Okay, so yeah, the ones that say disable are the ones that are currently disabled. And the ones that say enable are the ones that are currently enabled. So for instance, the engineering shuttle, I don't think I actually need to see that all the time. Unless, I don't think I'm going in that direction. I like keeping all my oxygen stations out. At least the mounted ones that are sort of infinite. Vehicles enabled. Okay, the rest, yeah, let's get rid of these engineering shuttles because we've already gotten what we could. I don't need the pervert anymore, thanks. So okay, I think there are so many just like marked locations on this map that you never like. Once you've gone to the place, the icon goes away because you've done everything you can there. I think I've done everything I can at the pervert. For some reason, the pervert, it just never goes away. Like you have to manually disable the pervert. So it just occurred to me that maybe I want my oxygen to be a different color. So it's just easy to tell it apart from the other icons. So now I look out there, and yeah, we got little blue icons on the oxygen, but white icons on the other destinations. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so yeah, so I do know what my destination ought to be, which is the Normandy, which is, again, why did they call it the Normandy? That's the ship from Mass Effect? I have no idea, but we're headed that way. It's a long ways away, but I've spent a lot of time upgrading my vehicle, upgrading my my oxygen supply, so that I can actually make it to a place like this without, dying. I should stop and replenish my supply, though, along the way, because there's one place here where I can. Another thing that I did... Oh, wait. Which suit am I wearing right now? Oh, I'm not wearing the fanciest suit. Oh, this is going to be a problem. So one of the main thing that I've been doing for the past several sessions is trying to reduce the amount of radiation over at the Normandy in order to make it livable. But one of the steps was completing a new suit that had better radiation protection, and I just realized I'm not wearing that suit right now. So if I drive up to the Normandy now, it's going to be a problem. So I realize we're spinning our wheels a lot here at the beginning, so I promise we are going to get going and actually see something new. But, yeah. So Jedi Cytric says, is quoting me and saying, you have to manually disable the pervert? Like, that's a quotable quote that we should put somewhere. The Tank says Mass Effect doesn't really have ownership over the Normandy name. Yeah, I'm not saying that I think that these folks are in should be in legal trouble over calling it the Normandy. It's just weird. It's weird to use the name of a very prominent ship in a different franchise. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not worried about them getting sued. I'm just worried about why. There are so many words. Why not choose a different one? Unless, I mean, I'm trying to think if it's going to be maybe they're planning some elaborate video game industry insider type joke. Maybe they're going to make some kind of Mass Effect joke when I get there, or something. I don't know, but it just seems like an odd choice. Wouldn't you want to have a ship name that is just unique to your game, so that when people are talking about your game, they're using language that's easy to search. Like if somebody wants to search, questions about the Normandy in this game, they're going to get a bunch of Mass Effect stuff when you Google it. You want your game to have a lot of unique stuff that make it sort of impossible to confuse for other brands. Ranithcord says, is there a list somewhere of names used in things in other games? There's not a list that that's just easy to reference or whatever. I do know that whenever we are naming something, not internally, but something that's going to be used to sell something, the name of a product, something like that, we always have to run it past a legal team whose job it is to make sure that that name has not been used somewhere that could, be problematic, that could get us sued. And so we have to be very careful. That's one reason why, actually, a lot of games have titles and subtitles, kind of titles that feel like they're too long. You want the name of a game to be very short and simple and elegant, easy to talk about. But some games end up with really long, elaborate names. And part of it is because they really wanted to use a particular word in the name of their game, but that word was already used somewhere else. And so in order to disambiguate themselves from the other product, which could cause confusion in a lot of different ways, and could cause problems in a lot of different ways, they have to come up with a long, elaborate title, so it's really clear that they're an independent, separate product.
Children again. Of course, I hope they manage to escape through this jam-smeared hole.
Okay, so I'm picking up that food because I didn't bring any food with me. Oh, I brought one thing of food with me, but it wasn't very much. Oh, gosh! Come back. Come back, you. Come here. Alright, picked up some stuff. None of it's particularly valuable stuff. The reason I'm making sure to grab these barrels is because I've got a few rare resources that come primarily from barrels that I've been running low on a lot lately, and so I'm sort of... It's hard to skip an opportunity to hack some barrels open. And barrels they get right to the... oh, wait, there's a collectible. They get right to the thing that Jedi Cytric was talking about, which is, because you don't know what's in a barrel... If I know, for instance, we run into these balls of metal periodically that, you can smash them open to get metal. If I need metal, I'll smash them open. If I don't need metal, I won't smash them open. I'll just leave them there. But the barrels, because I don't know what I'm going to get out of them, and some of the things I can get are rare, and some of the things I can get are common, I feel like I have to smash open every barrel I see, because I don't know what's inside, and sometimes the payout could be amazing. So that's exactly the...
Not used on high-speed spaceships. These parts are definitely not from the lighter's plating. Looks like the panels are still working. I would fly up to them if I were you.
This guy's talking. I think I've lowered his volume enough that I can talk over him, but still, it always makes me nervous to talk while somebody else is talking in the game. Oh, speaking of chickens. Electrified chicken. All right. So it says there's something to fix in here. Oh, what's this? Huh. Let's, is it something to fix or is it... Oh, it's something to scan. That's right. Huh, okay. I can build a solar panel. Neat. Again, a bunch more food. I don't think I need the food right now. Where'd I put my vehicle? So I am starting to run low on oxygen because I keep making these little side trips. But that's fine. I brought candles with me. I'm assuming that this place is going to have some place I can refill. If not, then we'll reload a save and it'll be great. The tank is like, see? He loves the chicken, I'm telling you.
My calculations, the next decrease in the radiation level will occur in 17 hours when the shell of the core overheats. The decrease in the radiation level will be significant, and it will last from 3 to 10 seconds, after which the explosion will follow, splitting us into atoms. With this in mind, it's highly recommended that you hurry.
Okay, so I guess this... Is this the Normandy? This feels disappointing. It's just a big hole. Maybe this is the route to the Normandy, through a big hole.
If I'm not mistaken, there's an accelerating transport station ahead. Apparently, they plan to use it for the evacuation of Normandy, although it's hardly possible to do that. These stations help small spaceships gain initial acceleration when departing from the liner, but they are of no use for long-distance flights. There's just one question that tickles my mind. Why are there so many damaged coffins? Aside from that, these coffins have limbs, weapons, and undoubtedly active AI units, judging by the weak signals coming from their remains.
Oh, okay. I thought this was going to be a turret, but it's not a turret. Okay, so I'm burning one oxygen candle.
To be honest, I'd rather not know what all of this means. As far as I know, the Breathedge Funeral Agency is in the business of burying corpses, not creating them with killer robots. But these coffins are definitely not counterfeit. It seems that the Normandy team died heroically fighting with coffins, which goes beyond any and all logic. On the other hand, the fact that you are still alive goes beyond any and all logic as well. In this regard, there's a chance that the coffins might be aggressive. It's recommended that you look around carefully and try to find some survivors. There should be no guns on such a shuttle. Apparently, they made an exception for Normandy. Most of the ship's systems are functioning nominally, but it will take a little effort if we're going to fly away from here.
Okay, so to fill anyone in who has not been following this story from the beginning, there's a frame story around this. Okay, how do I turn off this radio? Like that. There's a frame story in this game where you are being interrogated by walking, talking coffin robots. And it's kind of... How do I explain the background of this story? So you're burying like your uncle or your grandfather or something like that, and burying him in space, I guess? I don't know. And so you were on this like funeral ship that had bunches and bunches of coffins. Each of these, and the coffins are that rare collectible that I've been going through. But in the frame story, I'm being interrogated by walking, talking robot coffins, and not sure why exactly, but yeah. So apparently the Normandy here is in the middle of a battlefield filled with dead robot coffins, and so somebody had a big fight with the coffins, and maybe that's why we've all crashed. I'm not sure what's up.
The steering wheel is broken, but the rest is in order. This is the Normandy autopilot course. We can't change it without a living captain in any way, not even with a handy scrapper. However, it's highly unlikely that the captain calculated such a complex route for no particular reason, so we'd better not touch it at all. I need some time for analysis.
Okay, so replace the broken steering wheel. I need a steering wheel. So I've been scanning steering wheels this entire time, and this was just my fourth one, which unlocked the blueprint. So now I can create a steering wheel. Let's see what else. Okay, so I need a filtration system. I need a control unit, maybe. I need a navigator, and I need a steering wheel. So let's see what we can do here. Steering wheel. Okay. So I'm probably going to have to go back home to where I keep all my equipment and try to build these things. Problem is, the steering wheel might be the only thing I know how to build. Like, can I scan these other things? Figure out how to make them? Yeah, none of these are prompting me, even with my scanner out, none of them are prompting me to scan them. So I might need to scavenge these other parts. Oh, wait. What are all these? Okay, we got some objective markers outside. So let's go outside So, okay, so if I wanted to actually build a steering wheel, I would need so resin and titanium, pretty gettable. Electronics, pretty gettable. The inductor is a composite resource that requires wire, which I've got for some reason, plastic and metal. Okay, so we're just looking for a lot of standard stuff. I could actually maybe make a steering wheel right here in the field without having to, go back home. Oh, and so, yeah, so I'm really glad that I brought all these tools because, like, I can get alkali is one of the things that I'm extremely out of. Oh, hello, gross dead body. I'm assuming that the dead coffin robots cannot be scanned. You'll notice that yeah, okay. You'll notice that I ran out of my grabber, and then it's a really good thing that I brought a spare. Where did I put my vehicle? There it is. So let's go over to these.
This one can't be repaired, though, because the central energy core of the shuttle was damaged. It's still working, but long-distance flights are out of the question here. It's clear why the captain needed an accelerating station.
So what's this? Ah, I can repair this control unit. Well, good thing I made a second repair tool.
That's great. It looks perfect.
What? Sure. Oh, wait. Do I need to repair this? Maybe. I definitely should refuel it. There we go. Okay, let's put the repair tool away because that actually, when I have the repair tool out, it removes my ability to get on the vehicle. Oh, the tank is pointing out that I'm not reading the chat. Oh, so Dougie, okay, sorry, Dougie. So Dougie asked what my job is at Undead Labs. So I'm the design director on State of Decay 2. That means that I oversee the design work that goes on there, and because we're a small team, I sometimes also participate in the design work. There's certain aspects of the game that I end up sort of taking personal responsibility for, including like the names, the trait system, stuff like that. But by and large, my job is supposed to be oversight, sort of maintaining sort of like a high-level perspective on what the right choices are for the design of the game, that sort of thing. But I came up.
Great job. Unfortunately, the station's control units are still broken, but the good news is that you don't need them to launch Normandy at all. I just wanted to keep you busy while I was doing some important calculations.
What? Okay, anyway, I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, that's my job at Undead Labs. Where did I put my vehicle? There it is. Parked it up here. And again, got to put the repair tool away so I can actually get inside, get on top of this vehicle. So, wait, so were there any other... Okay, so I just did that job, which, again, they keep doing this, making this joke that the AI is telling me to do useless things. So, like, I have to progress the story of the game by doing things that actually don't make a difference. Which is, funny to some degree, but also, I mean, I just used 3 doses of a repair tool, which, takes time and effort for me to create. And so it's actually a little bit annoying to make that joke, because I really did spend the time and effort to do that. Oh, Renethcourt asked if I checked the bathroom. I did not check the bathroom. Of course, there's underpants in here, because underpants are inherently funny. That is the perspective of Breathedge. Okay, so let's run around out here and see what this needs.
We can't do without some repair work here.
Replace the broken engine. Have I already built a maneuver engine? Let's see. Oh, and then gotta replace it. Okay, so I can replace a steering wheel if I find the right resources. And I have replaced a broken engine before in the past. Okay, so I know I needed some electronics. Which I get from those little garbage sites. I needed some titanium. Looks like there's a bunch of titanium floating out here. think I needed, what was something like 4 titanium? I also might have needed some metal, so I'm grabbing some metal. If I needed more titanium than it was easy to pick up, I can get my scrapper out. But I think 4 titanium was it. Now, they also wanted me to get some plastic, I think. I'll need some more electronics. What's over here?
Judging by the makeup stains on the wall, we can estimate the approximate flight speed of the deceased female, or to be more exact, the deceased male, which is a bit strange.
No, that's not. This game is very regressive sometimes in
It's unlikely that
its
all these
perspective.
robots appeared here by accident.
That's one of the things you kind of have to tolerate with Breathedge is they feel like they have sort of a I don't know, like 1990s like level, like sort of in terms of like what jokes are funny, edgy jokes to tell. It feels like they're in about the 90s, and that feels a little bit odd. Though one of my followers, one of my viewers, pointed out that this team is from Russia, and so it could easily be that some of that is a sort of, you know, cultural differences between the U.S. and Russia, which are a little bit harder to just, you know, complain about the same way. But I mean, I think I can still complain about them, but it becomes less the fault of the individuals and more of a sort of larger scale collective issue. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into that, except just be aware that sometimes I am cringing at the humor in this game a little bit. Smoke Green Boboni says, "Do you have to tolerate it though?" I don't know. It's like when it happens, it's just like it's brief, and then it's over, and I'm like, that was not cool. And the fact that I'm streaming, it means I get to kind of, you know, comment on the fact that it's not cool, and maybe that's, I don't know, somehow helpful. I don't really know. It's one of those weird areas where it's like, yeah. I'm not always certain exactly the right way to approach something like that. All right. So what are we missing if we want to make the steering wheel? So we've got the titanium we need. We need resin. We need one more electronics. We need an inductor. And the inductor required. I've already got metal. Already got wire. It needs plastic. So I need plastic, resin, and a little bit more electronics. Okay, so I'm hoping that they have decided to be kind and have actually put the things I need around here, because I have all that stuff at home. I don't want to just spend this entire session shuttling things back and forth. So, okay, I can get more aluminum, but I don't need more aluminum. I want to preserve my drill, because I do need electronics. And you also get electronics with the drill.
It seems that the deceased was in a hurry and tried to neutralize a coffin filled with buckwheat. It doesn't look like explosive weaponry. However, it seems like someone was smuggling grain.
Okay. Oh, hey, there's another steering wheel to scan just in case. Just in case I missed one of the early ones. Now, because I'm a massive obsessive completionist, I still have to scan it, even though it got me no benefit. So usually plastic can be found on the sort of exposed girders of wrecked ships. And so that's why I'm kind of like orbiting the exterior here, like trying to see if, oh, like right there. Right there. That's plastic. I think I only needed a couple of plastics, or maybe even one plastic. Resin is a little tougher. Resin requires my grabber. And it's in these like very specific like busted canisters. They've got an orange color to them, but unfortunately everything in this game has an orange color to it, and so I can't just scan for it.
The coffin is almost intact. Maybe we could fiddle with it a bit.
Aha, here's one. Okay, so it got lasered, I guess, and it's holding a severed arm. That's cool and all. It's a thing. I'm gonna leave it where it is, just because I don't know what it's for. What's this? A blaster. Ooh. It can go pew pew. I can also make one of these, I believe. Wait, what? What is... Okay. Here's our Normandy joke, I guess. Okay. Well, there we go. It's a Normandy joke. All of our Mass Effect stuff, confusion is resolved? Maybe? I don't know. Dougie Fresh is asking if anyone here has a PS5 and wants to know who to be jealous of. I do not have a PS5. I've got a...
It definitely didn't thrust into here by itself.
I've got a Series X, mostly because of my Microsoft connections. I do not have a PS5, and partly it's because I just don't, I've got friends who've gotten multiples by sort of waiting in the in sort of the queues, but I have been unable to make that work. Partly just because I've always got so many things to do. Yeah, it's just full of Mass Effect references, but references aren't jokes. It's kind of weird because, like, so a couple of the jokes that have been told in this game have been some of my favorite. I think the last video that I did was actually called "The Best Joke" in Breathedge because it made me very seriously laugh and had a great time. But like Jedi Cytric says, you know, that positive reinforcement is very few and far between, and it is a fair amount of... It is a good explanation probably for why I've been sort of so tolerant of the parts of this game that I'm not a fan of. It is because we have these periodic moments where they really do do something hilariously well. So it looks like I'm just missing one more dose of electronics, so I'll go out looking for that. But, you know, it's kind of interesting how psychoanalyzing something, you know, like sort of stepping back and looking at it, not as, you know, from the perspective of me as the human experiencing the feelings, but as, I don't know, a different human stepping back and sort of asking questions about the experience, and examining it from a, you know, like, how do humans work? How do brains work? Sort of perspective. It is weird sort of to sort of... It's causing me to kind of reevaluate the experience I'm having with this game a little bit, because, you know, basically the way it's been working is I've been like, yeah, there's parts of this game that are annoying, but it also keeps pulling me forward in this strange way, and I'm not sure why. I think that it might really be what Jedi Cytrix called out at the beginning of the session, which is, you know, it's giving me these rare positive experiences that are very... I mean, this game is very original, despite feeling a lot like Subnautica. There are aspects of it that are very original and very kind of surprising that they keep sort of getting my attention, or what's a better term for it? Capturing my imagination.
Dead at all.
And here, let's eat some food, drink some water to stay alive. And so because of those, it makes me keep wanting to play. But I also, I mean, whenever they make some weird regressive joke, I get really uncomfortable. And part of me is, and you know, there's a lot of games I want to play, and I keep playing this one because I've gotten sort of captured by it to some degree. What the heck is going on up here? What the?
It's him, undoubtedly. The legend of the cosmic forces of self-defense. Be careful, quicksand textures killed a lot of heroes.
What the heck? Textures don't kill anyone. What are you talking about? So this is... What the heck is going on? Anyway, like, it makes me wonder, am I really enjoying this game? You know, am I enjoying it actually in the way that a person should enjoy a game, or in a way that you know, that I'll actually feel good about later, or am I just feeling compelled by it? Because enjoying something and feeling compelled by something, those are two different experiences. And there's some games where...
wonder where they got so many blasters. The lack of weapons in the military module hints at a definite answer, though.
Because there are games where, you know, I play them for a long time because I feel compelled by them, and then I quit, and then, you know, and I put them in sort of like a special category in Steam, and I'll hold on to them for a long time, and I'll keep coming back to them because, you know what, they never stopped being good. I needed to move on to something else, but it never stopped being like fun to play them, and they just have become sort of a long-term part of my life. RimWorld is that way, Invisible Ink is that way, Into the Breach is that way, FTL is that way, Hard Space Shipbreaker is that way. You know, just these games are intrinsically fun, and there's just a lot of good reasons to come back to them. And there are other games where the whole point, you know, is not to come back to them. It's like they are meant to be one-off experiences, and that's totally fine. I'm not saying that's the only way to be a good game. But then there are some games where, you know, I'll feel really compelled by them for a while. And this is why I don't play MMOs. Is because, you know, I had this experience a couple of times. I had it with Dark Age of Camelot, and I had it with World of Warcraft, where I started playing the game for a little while, and I got really into it. I knew exactly where I was on like the leveling, you know, system or whatever. I was like, ooh, I'm just so close to the next level. There's only these things that I need to collect, and this thing I need to do, and these quests I need to do. And I had it all in my head. And then I was playing it every single day. And then I would take a vacation to somewhere where I couldn't play it, and I'd spend like 5 days away from the game. And then I would come back, and I would have zero desire to play it anymore. Like when I was caught up in the feeling of wanting the next thing, of thinking about what the next thing was, and I had it like in my head, in my sort of like active ready memory, I had all of the things that I was doing, I felt compelled by them. But when I had some distance from it and I lost that stuff, and I needed to reacquire it in order to keep enjoying the game, the game was not enjoyable enough to me. I mean, obviously, there's lots of legit reasons to like these games. They just weren't, you know, the right games for me. I didn't actually want to play them. I was only compelled by their, you know, compulsion loops. And that's always interesting to find out. I end up being sort of grateful when I stop playing a game like that, rather than missing it and wanting to come back.
Crocodiles became extinct more than 50 years ago.
So part of me just like, I am curious about what happens when I repair this ship. And so I'm just flying around. I'm like, there's got to be
the habit of taking selfies can lead
one
to
more
By the way, why haven't we found any cameras yet?
Oh, look. Okay, it's another blaster. This guy shot himself, and the guy is making a selfie joke? I mean, come on. Is there an easier well to pull from than people taking selfies is dumb? Come on. So yeah, like, now that I'm thinking of it from that perspective, Jedi Citrix, you ruined this game for me. Now that I'm thinking of this game as a game that's potentially just a compulsion trap for me, and not actually a game I'm enjoying, it's hard for me not to look at it that way now. Wait, is that electronics? No. Jedi Citrix says, I'm sorry. No. Again, I never have regrets about getting out of a game that's just a compulsion trap for me. So here's what I'm going to do. Rather than continuing to search this area, I'm going to head back to my base. And I'm just going to collect all the resources that I need to do the 2 operations that are in front of me. I'll see if that leads to anything cool. And so we'll make sure that this session makes some progress. But I think maybe it would be healthy for me to take a break from this game and see if it is just a compulsion trap for me, or whether it's actually a thing I'm going to want to come back to and legitimately enjoy. Smug Rainbow Pony, probably my audience member who is the most put off by the humor of this game, says, yeah, I've been wondering what you've been liking in this game since day one. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I think when people are playing, you know, games that are sort of more compulsion traps for them than anything else, it is hard for anyone outside that person to really understand why the person is enjoying the game. They look like they're not having fun, you know? One game that historically has been a compulsion trap for me regularly, it's weird because it's not always as cut and dried. It's not always like this game is a compulsion trap or this game is fun. Like, it can be both. For instance, oh crap, I just yanked my headphones out with my feet on the wire. That wasn't cool. Anyway, like Call of Duty for me, for instance. Call of Duty is a game that I legitimately enjoy. I love the feeling of running around and shooting in that game. It feels really good. It's right on my wavelength. There's some people who criticize it for, death is too easy. It's too easy for, whatever. It's different from a lot of other games. It tends to be very high on the lethality scale, which, just is not some people's thing. And that's all true, but for me, it is exactly on my wavelength. It's what I expect from a video game. Usually, my enjoyment of a shooter depends very heavily on how similar it is in experience to Call of Duty. I love Respawn's games because it's made by former Call of Duty devs, the people who invented the feel of Call of Duty, and they keep it up, through Titanfall. Even though Titanfall is a less lethal game, it still feels a lot like Call of Duty in certain key, game feel ways. So I legitimately love playing Call of Duty. I love playing Titanfall. Those games are great. But Call of Duty also practically invented the modern compulsion trap. When Call of Duty 4 introduced sort of the progression system tied into their their multiplayer, it was game changing for the entire industry, not just among competitive shooters, but just everyone realized how effective it was. They had all these overlapping these overlapping compulsion loops where, there are things you can do in a couple of seconds that earn you a prize, things you can do over the course of minutes, things you can do over the course of many sessions or hours or, months, things you can earn on all, and you're constantly earning all of them, and you're constantly getting sort of uneven but positive feedback from everything that you're doing all the time. And it's these constant extrinsic rewards. And, I can get to a point in a Call of Duty game where I have stopped having as much fun because I'm only playing to get to the next level. And I had to actually work on myself to realize that, here's my pattern. I play each new Call of Duty for the first couple months after it's released. I have a great time, and then I put it down before I start hating it. So that I can keep loving Call of Duty without just getting into this zone where I'm just, mad because of the compulsion loops. Okay, so I'm going to grab some electronics. And let's make the steering wheel here. I'm not sure how big it's going to be in my inventory. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. So I got that resin, too. Okay, cool. So we've got the steering wheel. And now, maneuver engine. I've already got titanium. I need a generator and a compensator and 2 plastic. Well, I can easily get the 2 plastic. Let's make some room in my inventory. Oh, wait. I can't. We can grab... Actually, let's do the generator and the compensator first. I'm not sure how much stuff that's going to take. So the compensator is... I've got alkali and titanium. I need 2 refined metal, which I keep here. These suitcases are in a different place every time I come back. It's great. I think that's a physics thing or something. Okay, compensator. Okay, and then generator. So alkali and metal I've got. I need electronics and wire. Electronics. Oh, wait, I don't have that here. Why am I looking here? Where did I keep my electronics? Are they over here? Ah, electronics, and then I keep my wire over here. Boink. All right, let's make the generator. And now I've got the generator, so now I just need 2 plastic, which I keep where? I don't know. Is it here? No. Is it here? Yes. All right, so now we can make the maneuver engine. All right, so I'm going to drop off now the last few things that I don't need to keep on my person. What am I doing? I'm taking the things. Actually, do I want to drop things off? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'll need all of this gear while I'm out there. You know what? I'm just not going to touch a thing. I am going to eat and drink and then replenish those supplies. Okay, so here's my prediction. I'm going to take these 2 parts back. That's going to result in a partial repair of the Normandy. And there's probably going to be some other garbage task I have to do before anything will happen. And I'm going to get frustrated, and stop. That's my prediction. Let's see if that comes true. Let's see here. So Jedi Cytrix is starting to call into question how similar to Subnautica this game really is. Because, I mean, and she points out that that this game actually feels... She says that Subnautica feels closer to Minecraft than this game does. And I think, I think that's probably true. I think that Subnautica definitely gets you... what am I trying to say? It tries to get you to the point where you are exploring it in a free-form sort of way as quickly as they can. It does take a while to get to the point where you're comfortable building bases, settling in places, scavenging for resources, building, sort of self-sufficient, systems for yourself. But that is what it's about. Like, it's got the story of trying to escape. But you don't have to escape, and a lot of people don't escape. A lot of people just say, "Oh, I'm going to build an even fancier base over here, and it's going to have this feature and that feature, and look, it's going to look like this." And that seems to be most of what the game is about. This game has a base building system, but it's also got a very, like, where Subnautica, actually, this is one of the key differences that I think has ripple effects throughout both games. This game has got, at least it feels like it has finite resources in a very bespoke landscape. Can you call space a landscape? I don't know. But it's got, which means that it's not, I can't really treat it like a free-form base building game. Like, if I stopped and just said, I'm just going to build the most elaborate base I possibly can, and got into the creative side of it, I would absorb resources that then make it impossible for me to progress. Or at least, it feels like that's what would happen. They might have safeguards in place to avoid that, but I've been too paranoid to do that because that's how the game feels like it's structured. Whereas Subnautica is structured to encourage you to use as many resources as you want. There are always going to be more. This is a planet that's constantly replenishing itself. And you're just a single person with an entire planet's worth of resources. Go nuts, build whatever you want, and it feels much more free-form and open-ended. And so I think that it engages. So I think Subnautica, I could imagine coming back to Subnautica because there are things I haven't done, and there's sort of this infinite creative space that you have in Subnautica. That you can play it as sort of a linear progression, but you don't have to. Whereas this game, I think, actually gets punishing if you're not replacing it, if you're not treating it.
I hope. You already repaired such an engine once, but it looked different
as a linear game where you have to make constant forward progress. And I think that makes a big difference. That's what the experience is like. Because if I played this game again, if I started over from scratch, I would do all the same things. And so I wouldn't. I wouldn't start it over from scratch because I don't want to do all the same things. In Subnautica, if I started over from scratch, I would build my base in a different place. I would design it differently. I would, know what was coming, and I would I could make all these elaborate plans in my head right now about how I would replay Subnautica, and so that does make it, very different.
I checked the course routed by the captain. There's not enough information, but it seems that he was able to calculate a route through several accelerating stations straight to the core. We can get some energy for a single warp jump there, and let's hope that Normandy survives this.
Okay.
That's it. Space, here we come. Start the engine.
Oh, interesting. So this game has... you won't be able to return temporarily? Oh. Well, you know what? I was already talking about not returning permanently. So maybe that's fine. Let's go. Okay, so it could be that what we're about to discover is not that this game is actually linear, and actually lacks sort of the flexibility of Subnautica. It could be that we're actually discovering... Oh, interesting. Oh, so wait, I'm actually flying this shuttle?
For the restart window. I'm not good with abrupt acceleration. I hope we don't need parts of the ship that fell off along the way that much.
So...
In any case,
come on, guy.
Survive one more acceleration, or any flight at all. I suggest we find a place to dock and inspect the shuttle.
Okay, so I think what we're about to find out is that this game does actually have... I don't want to listen to this dude. This game actually does have... what am I trying to say? an open-ended experience. Maybe these later maps that I'm moving to I didn't know existed. Maybe these actually open out into a much more freeform experience. But this is... I'm not even listening to him. But this is like my 16th session, I believe? So I've been playing this game for like 16 hours. More than that, because I've done some between sessions to collect resources. So pushing 20 hours in this game, and I'm only just now discovering that it might open out to become more open-ended, more flexible. That's a lot of time. That's getting into JRPG territory, where people are like, oh man, this Final Fantasy game really gets fun at hour 40. You're just like, screw you, man. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not personally into JRPGs. If you enjoy them, nothing wrong with you. That's fine. People are allowed to have different tastes. Not my style. Okay, so I'm gonna dock this shuttle, and then, maybe we'll put this game down for a while, and we'll find out if it was just a compulsion trap for me, or if it's actually something I end up wanting to return to of my own volition. So Jedi Cytric says, I love me some JRPGs. And so, again, I'm not going to criticize anyone for their tastes. I love a lot of weird games that other people don't. And so that's totally fine. And JRPGs are, at least the big ones, are among the most popular games in the entire game industry. Clearly, they're doing something right, and they've got something that people want. So I'm not going to tell you there's anything wrong with them. But, at the same time, for me, the amount of time it takes to get to the actual game in those makes it impossible for me to ever get into them. Okay, so now we've got a new base and a new place. I don't have any of the accumulated resources that I had. So if I was... I want to find out what this last bit is here. If I was actually taking seriously the idea that I should, play this game for reals, I probably, this is how obsessive I am, I would have gone back and carefully, like inventory load by inventory load, moved all of my stuff into the Normandy. All, 11 suitcases of it. So that I can bring all those resources with me instead of having to scavenge them fresh here. I think we're witnessing me emotionally disengaging from the game because I did not do that.
Welcome. Go to the center, please.
This is not just a garage module, but a surviving diagnostic station. However, it doesn't sound like it's functioning nominally.
So let's go find out what this objective is, and then we're probably going to wrap it up.
The diagnostics panel works, although this part clearly doesn't belong here.
So is he going to start fighting with this female AI that's running the... You know what? I don't even want to find out what that's like. I bet we're about to get into a bunch of sexist humor about this other AI. So you know what? I just, Smoke Rainbow Pony says, I would have dropped this game way earlier. The jokes are too disgusting to be offset by the lack of fun I find in resource fetching and crafting things. Overall, this game is really not for me. And we might be finding out that this game is also not for me. It's just because it was so, the parts of it that were compelling to me were so compelling that they basically sort of captured me in a compulsion trap and made me want to stay in the game, even though there were aspects of it I didn't like. And the thing is, the point that I was making before was that when it's very common to see someone else playing a game that they feel that they're kind of trapped in, and you can watch them not having fun with it, and you're like, why are you still playing this? Because that experience of being caught in a compulsion loop is very subjective, right? It's all about your knowledge in your head of what your ambitions are with this game and what you want to do with it, and what the next reward over the horizon is. And it's a thing that no one else can see because it's about the game that you're playing in your mind, in addition to the game that you're actually playing with your hands and your eyes and stuff like that. So it's like, so no one else can see why it is. So Smug Rainbow Pony is watching me play this and it's just like, why are you playing this game? Well, what's wrong with you? And can't understand. It could be that easily this game is just, there's many things about this game that would not put it on Smug Rainbow Pony's vibe. The thing, if I was watching somebody else play it though, I'm not sure that I would understand it, honestly, either. And so, but it's because I was sort of like in it, and I was collecting things, and I had the resources for stuff, and I almost had the amount of resources I needed for the next thing. And there's an upgrade that's right around the corner, and I could go a little bit further, and there's this icon out there in the horizon that I can't quite reach, but if I just got a little bit more of an oxygen tank, maybe I can. Like, I've got all of that going on in my head at all times while playing this game. And, yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, and so people are starting to call out like the moments in the game that really bothered them. Smoke Rainbow Pony is like, oh, it had a Heil Hitler doll in it at one point, making a joke that it was supposed to be Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, and Jedi Cytrix is like, yeah, I remember when they were making fun of schizophrenia. And I was like, oh yeah, you know what? When you start like sort of listing all of these things, and you're not thinking about, you know, your next the next ambition you have around the corner, it does feel like, why am I doing this to myself? I really don't like bumping into these sort of landmines that the game leaves around for you. I don't enjoy it. And I keep feeling like, I feel weird playing this game. But then there's just always this thing that's pulling me forward. It's really kind of weird. Anyway, so if anything in this game bothered you and you're wondering why I play it, that's probably why. I think Jedi Cytrix has actually nailed it at the beginning of this. I actually really wasn't sure. I was saying it because I thought it was an interesting subject, not because I actually thought that it was the reason I was playing the game. But as I kept going, I became more and more convinced that Jedi Cytrix was right, and that that is the kind of motivation that I had playing this game. Oh, let's hear. So Ranith Court says, that's how I felt the first several episodes of me playing Subnautica. You were extremely frustrated with it frequently. That's true. I was frustrated with Subnautica, but learning RimWorld was really hard for me too. Like the fact that you're frustrated with the game early on, and then later on you sort of come to understand it and come to enjoy it, doesn't mean you've been caught in a compulsion loop. That doesn't mean that you found an unfun game that tricked you into liking it. Sometimes what you find is you've got a game. It's actually the opposite, where instead of being very clever at capturing your attention, you found a game that's bad at capturing your attention, but actually has something deeply valuable in it. And so sometimes, and I feel like that's how it was with Subnautica. That's how it was with RimWorld. Neither of those games captured me immediately with their gameplay, and I actually felt kind of put off by it. Felt like it was inaccessible. But with a little bit of help to get over that hump, I found something that I actually found deeply enjoyable in either of those games. And I feel like Breathedge is the opposite. Breathedge, there's aspects of it that I find deeply unenjoyable, and a fair number of them, but it was so good at grabbing my attention and pulling me forward that I overcame my legitimate lack of enjoyment. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, so I guess, I don't know. I guess that's where I'm landing with Breathedge. With Subnautica, I played it all the way to the end. We did 30 episodes of Subnautica, and I played it all the way to the end. But I think, it looks like Breathedge is an even bigger and more ambitious game than Subnautica, because, with 16 episodes, I've only gotten out of the first stage. But honestly, looking at this game just getting bigger and bigger and bigger makes me tired. And so I think that whereas, with Subnautica, I got over that hump and I got deeper and deeper and deeper, and I finally, and I got to the end and was felt really satisfied about the whole thing, felt very, proud of myself and glad for the time I spent with it. I think this game has hit a stopping point for me. I think this is where we're gonna end my experience with Breathedge. Now, if it surprises me and somehow there actually is a part of me that loves the idea of coming back for some reason, I don't know why, but, who knows? Maybe you'll see another episode someday. But for right now, I think I might be done with it for good. So thank you for coming on this journey with me, especially those of you who legitimately, really did not enjoy this game and stuck with me and sort of like help me, come to understand it a little bit better and help me, understand your perspectives a little better. I think that's really good. I think probably the joke that crossed the biggest line for me, because I, was probably the one where it had basically a dead gender nonconforming character who smeared their face across the hull of a ship as they were dying, and the AI just wants to make fun of them for wearing makeup. And I'm just like, like when Grimace was watching, he would constantly make the point that, like, this game is using humor to overcome very dark stuff. And I think that is true. I think that is the intent. I think they're trying to use humor to overcome dark subject matter and make it fun to grapple with this dark subject matter because they're making jokes about it. But what I think maybe the developers were not engaging with mentally was the fact that, there's some topics where the darkness isn't fictional, where like if you just got a bunch of like, oh no, a bunch of people died and we're going to make it funny because it's such a dark thing you just don't want to grapple with it. But it's a bunch of fictional people who died for fictional reasons, under fictional circumstances, and it's okay. It's okay to sort of make this like, games like I don't know, like the Despotism series, for instance, which is just all about aliens or AI or somebody, some kind of horrible overlords just abusing humans, and it's meant to be funny, and it is funny because it's just very fictional and disconnected from reality. It's not a situation that we're actually in. But something like that where I'm just like, you know what? There are a lot of people who, have a very hard time in their lives because people are so flippant and dismissive and hurtful towards them because of their gender identity. And I'm just like, I don't want to look at a horrific dead body and have that be the joke you're making about it. Like, it just doesn't. It's like it's making fun of like real fear that people have in their actual lives, and I'm just not. Yeah, so it's like I saw it and I just like I had to. I looked away from it real fast, because I think it was pretty early in the session that I saw it. I looked away from it real fast and just kind of like disengaged from it because I was just like, ugh. But like the longer I sit with it, the more gah it feels. So anyway, I guess I wanted to say that because like I don't want, because I kept playing for a little while afterwards because I emotionally disengaged with it, and I was like, I want to bring this to some kind of conclusion. I want to, I'm right at the end of something. I want to like push it over the line and just sort of get somewhere before I wrap up the series. But yeah, the longer I think about that particular joke, I'm just like, that is just not a joke. And it just, I don't know, really bothers me. And so I guess I just had to register that before we signed off. I don't want to just sort of like just leave that hanging like that, was just one more of their silly, juvenile sort of regressive jokes. I mean, some of them they're just like, middle school edgelords trying to push your buttons or whatever, and some of that was just like, oh, eye roll, fine, whatever. Oh, look, it's exploding poop. Ha 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 ha, like whatever. It was dumb jokes, but like who cares, but that's one where you know what, I do care, and I don't want to act like I don't care about that. So anyway, yeah, and honestly, that might be one of the reasons why I don't think I will end up feeling comfortable, even if it turns out that I realize that that there were aspects of the game that were legitimately fun, and it wasn't just a compulsion loop. Like, I kind of don't care because I'm like, I don't want my stream to be a place where you go for humor like that. Like if we're going to run across something like that, I want this to be a stream where we talk about why it's a problem and why I don't want to be, pushing that forward. And just acting like that's okay. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure that the developers come from a perspective where they have not thought of it the way that I'm thinking about it. I'm sure that, that they have a perspective where hearing me criticize it, they'd be like, no, but I didn't mean, and they would feel like, yeah, that they didn't feel like they were doing something wrong. But that's part of the problem, right? Is the fact that we've got, there are people living in our society who have generations of history going back of people treating them like garbage and thinking it's okay, thinking that that's fine. And the fact that there is, generations of history and generations of culture leading up to someone today thinking it's okay to treat another person like garbage, while that individual in that moment might not feel, morally responsible for having done something wrong, I think still collectively we need to look at it as like, but something did go wrong. However the person who did it felt about it themselves, whatever, disadvantages they might have had in their perspective to not understand the full ramifications of what they were doing, that doesn't mean that we just need to say, oh, well, then it's fine. It's like, it's still not fine, and it still hurts people. And what blame or fault an individual has is just a separate question. For somebody to grapple with themselves, do I, how bad do I need to feel about this? How much do I need to change myself? How much introspection do I need to do to overcome it? That's an individual. It's an internal thing. I can't know somebody's mind. I'm not going to tell them that I know their mind. I know their intent. What I know is the consequences. And I think that, when we're trying to solve problems in society, trying to, maybe make changes to the way that we relate to each other, what matters is the consequences. What matters is the practical effects on the people that are hurt. That's what we have to build our decisions around, not necessarily the question of, who's to blame. So yeah. So anyway, I've been talking too long, and I'm probably I don't know. I think hopefully I've gotten the message across that I wanted to, and maybe I'm just I don't know. For some reason there's a part of me that just wants to keep talking, but I think it's because I feel uncomfortable, and that's my response to feeling uncomfortable, is just talking and talking and talking. That's my personality. So anyway, I'm going to push this button and make the video end mercifully. That's my subscribe button, where you can watch me not play any more Breathedge. This video will not be more Breathedge.